Nobody listens. I got a question that's actually yes, ma'am. Depending on competitions already? Yeah. Already.
I'm always like this. Right, yeah, same here. I don't really get I told her
Alright, we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Thank you all for coming this evening. We got a long agenda, so let's just jump right in. Start with approval of the minutes from the last meeting. Hopefully you all had an opportunity to take a look at them. Do we have any corrections, additions, deletions? If not, can I get a motion to approve?
Move to accept minutes as written with any necessary corrections.
All right, Ms. Silver made the motion. Is there a second? Second. Steve, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, and with that, let me just say, first of all, for those of you who were at the first community workshop, thank you for coming, and look forward to increasing the attendance at those meetings now that the word's out. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to staff. Mark?
Thank you, David. All right, a few things for you guys. First of all, yes, I have OCD and all kinds of other mental health issues, so this room's probably going to change every time you walk in here. We're just trying to find a way that works best. We're hoping to keep the meetings for the steering committee in here. The problem with the last time, I think you all felt it just felt a little crowded, a little crammed in here. If this is going to get too tight, we may jump over to the community center and use the one meeting room in there. The one issue we run into is not room or space or tables, it's that we record these meetings and it's getting IT to set it up in the community room, not since we already have it here. So we'll let you guys know on that. On your tables, you will see you have a packet of the flyers you have prepared. We're trying to get these out to every nook, cranny, corner of the city. Please take some. If you run out, you need more, please contact us. We'll get them to you, okay? So also on your tables tonight, we have the handouts of the presentations. I debated on whether to get them all out to you guys, and I realized in the end, we're just going to print them for you, so when you go back, you can take notes on them, you can go back and watch them. The presentations will be online on the FTP site as well, but hopefully that helps you guys dig through everything we need to do. In prepping for this meeting, David had the suggestion that as we are looking at goals and as we're looking at projects as we move forward, he suggested it'd be a good idea to hand out a copy of the current capital improvement plan. So those are the numbers you have with you. Those are the ones that were adopted by the commission in September. Okay? So coming up right now, the city is starting to develop the new capital improvement plan. It should be in draft form, Jeff, what, March, April? They start pulling it together, working with the CRA, working with everyone else to try to get these numbers together. We work through it through the summer, and then it gets adopted in the fall again with the budget. So the idea is that, so you guys are familiar with what the current projects are, knowing that any new major thing that we come up with and start working through is going to be a year or two out when we start looking at it, unless it's something urgent. So put that in your resource pile as stuff to start digging through as you start looking at this material. Okay? We have some other things to go over. I'm going to grab those at the end of the meeting so we can get our guests up here first and get rolling. So as we talked about, the flow of these meetings are going to go like this. We're going to take the first, I'll say, hour, and we're going to go over the material for the upcoming meeting. Okay? So we'll have the brief presentations of what will be presented in more detail at the January 9th community meeting, which again will be at Old School Square in the Field House. Then after that's done, we'll take a short break, and then we're going to take time to dig into the material that was presented from the previous community meeting and start looking and talking through those elements, which again were open space, recreation, conservation, and thank you, coastal management. Don't you hate that? Okay? Good. So on that, let's get going. I want to introduce to you first Janet Meeks. She is the former Assistant Director of Community Improvement, and now she is currently Director of, I'm going to get your title wrong, I'm so sorry, Public Affairs. Of her many titles and hats that she wears, Janet has been a champion for education in the city for quite a while now, and we're keeping her on in that role to help bring this forward. I will just simply preface by saying that we have an education board, and they had been working last fall already, so when you get into your annotated outline, you'll see that they've already done some good work and gotten some things together for you. So on that, it's all yours.
Okay. Thank you very, very much. Are you pushing the button, or is there something up here electronically?
It's not. Hold on. I can get the little controls.
Before I start, first of all, I'd like to thank you for allowing me to come and speak with you. As you know, education has been my passion for the past couple decades here in the city of Delray Beach. And before I get started, I did want to introduce you to two guests that I have here this evening with me. I have Reiko Knight, who is the back corner, who's from the Education Board, so she's going to be following along and being my eyes and ears to listen to what you guys have to say. And then we actually have a student, Sandy Hagerman, who lives in Delray Beach and goes to G-Star. And she's been challenged by her IB course to come up with a real live political situation, and so she's going to do a report on the process of what we're going through, so we're happy to have her with us this evening. Okay, so let's see. So tonight I'm going to, the agenda will be, I'm just going to give you a little bit of history, because I always like to tell people where we've come from, give you the Education Board's vision and mission, our accomplishments, and then talk a little bit about what 2017 and beyond might look like. So back in 1990, the city of Delray Beach was approached by real estate brokers who said that they can't sell their single-family homes based on the conditions of our schools. And our city commission at the time really listened to them and said, okay, we're in, we'll help you. And they created a vision called Sharing for Excellence in Schools. And basically this document was a document that helped advocate for Delray Beach's fair share of funding and programming for its students. It took about maybe 8 or 9 years to actually get the program implemented, and it was mostly bricks and mortars. The city created a very strong partnership with the school district, and we all have spent approximately $10 million in support of our schools, and out of that document created the Permanent Education Advisory Board. So basically, what was Sharing for Excellence in Schools? That particular program was looking at ways that we could extend water and sewer mains in support of our schools. Let me step back. In the 1990s, there were 3 major issues that our city was experiencing at the time. As you may know, Palm Beach County was exploding development-wise, so Palm Beach County was building schools out in the western community and really ignoring our coastal school area. We had overcrowding and we had busing issues. So out of that program was to kind of help address. So you'll see some of the accomplishments that we've made has been out of addressing those particular issues. So the vision of the Delray Beach Education Board is a community committed to promoting quality education through lifelong learning. And the mission is the Delray Beach Education Board advocates for quality education and fosters partnerships between Delray Beach schools and the community. And remember, this is in the comp plan currently, we only have an element which talks about school concurrency, which is really overcrowding of schools and whether or not we have enough capacity to handle our students. And this education element that we're working on can really go from cradle to grave policy, so it would include that lifelong learning. So let's talk about some of the accomplishments, because I think this is good for you to understand what's possible moving forward as a community. We've really done some really phenomenal things. Going back to 1990, one of the big successes we had with that Sharing for Excellent Schools was where the condition of SD Stady is located was internal to a neighborhood. It was one of the schools that was slated to be closed by Palm Beach County School District. And what the city agreed to do was, there were a lot of older homes along Lake Ida Road. The city purchased those homes, demolished them, relocated the folks, and then relocated the bus loop so that the school was visible from Lake Ida Road, which had created more of a safe area and community for people to want to go to that school. And part of that program was getting the Montessori program. And at the time, again, remember, we were trying back in the 1990s to create a diverse population and that our public schools mirror that of our community. So part of what the school district offered at that point in time is to relocate schools in what they called a neutral zone. And so out of that, we actually located Carver Middle School, which was at Delray Full Service Center, out to its current location. Part of that plan, we also were able to negotiate and help build 2 new schools, Murakami, Banyan Creek, and actually Orchard View over time to reduce overcrowding. We also not only are pretty good with our choice programs at SD Stady, but a lot of our programs in our schools, we have special choice programs. We're the only municipality that has a feeder pattern for the IB program, so we have elementary, middle, and high school. Murakami is our elementary school, Carver's middle, and Atlantic High School is, of course, a high school with the IB program. We also have Plimosa School of the Arts, and at Carver we have also, we just got a large grant to do a technology piece there. Some of the programs, we also, the Ed Board was charged by the City Commission to constantly look at our imaging and branding of our schools. So we've created a lot of awareness programs over time. We created the School Showcase of the Arts, where we invited all of our schools to come down to Old School Square and showcase their work. We created Pencil, which is Public Education Needs Civic Involvement and Learning, which is we had to ask business community members to come into our schools to act as principals, to create business partnerships. Walk a Child to School, the Delray Beach pop-up book, and most recently we have created Delray Reads Day, so I hope a lot of you participated in that. Some of the other programs that we've advocated for is the city has been very instrumental in the well, we're still advocating for Middle School of the Arts, but we also have provided some funding to get a dance program at Carver Middle School. And of course, probably many of you know about our criminal justice program in Atlantic High School. We have some wonderful students that are graduating and come back and be police officers in our community. With the partnership with the Community Redevelopment Agency, we've had a very strong partnership with Atlantic for the Eagles Nest Construction Academy, which is a phenomenal program. It's a single-family home that is both designed and built by high school students. The CRA provides a zero-interest loan. The city provides the lot, and we work with the children and school board to actually have them construct the home, and then it's sold to a first-time home buyer, and all the proceeds from the home go back into the program. And we're now on our 3rd home, and the profit margin has been around $35,000 for the first 2 homes that were sold, so they have about $70,000, and hopefully that will create a self-sustaining program moving forward. Some of the other highlights that we do is we write grants to help support our schools. We've won a lot of awards for our business partnership with Palm Beach County School District. We've been highlighted for our best practices in Delray. We've traveled all over really the nation to talk about what we do here in Delray. And I'd really like to kind of end this section with 2 really important things that we worked on in this past couple of years. Is the Education Board now has its 3-year strategic plan, which will help hopefully guide you guys to where you need to go. And then, of course, in 2012, we were finalists for the All-America City Award for our campaign for grade level reading. And we've been working on that diligently over the past 4 years to improve third grade reading proficiency. And I just wanted to talk about that for just a few minutes. Just to give you an idea about our demographics, we have about 3,000 students in our K through third grade. We had a lot of students that don't have access to summer learning, they don't read on grade level, they're not ready for kindergarten, and they miss a lot of school. And that was basically what we were charged to look at, is how we could change the dial, because if you get all that working together and show improvement, the outcome should be increase in third grade reading proficiency. And again, we have a lot of students that are on the free and reduced lunch program.
Sorry.
That's okay. So just so you can see, because we were asked to kind of give you some result-based information to show what is possible, we did a community-wide initiative around reducing chronic absenteeism and the emerging pattern of kids that are missing school on a daily basis. And we really trended for the chronic absenteeism to reduce our number by 2.5% over 5 years, but our results after 4 years are 3.7% reduction. So in that case, I like to just highlight that, because we had 5.5% of our students in that age group that were missing more than 21 days. That's more than a month. It's almost impossible to catch up with grades if you miss that kind of time. And we reduced that to 1.2%. So as a community coming together, focusing on a one specific issue can return in great results. And I just show you this because you can see our trend lines that Palm Beach County School District has provided for us. That shows that while we had our ups and downs, the trend line is that we've made steady decline over the past 5 years. Another part that we were really successful in is helping to stem summer learning loss. And I really love this program. Again, it's where our community came together with our nonprofits. We told them we had kids that, low-income kids can lose 2 to 3 months over the summer of learning, and if we can do some interventions, we can stop that. And so the district gave us a program. We piloted the program in 2012. We started at 2 city camps, and we had about 60 kids in our program. And this last year, we have now scaled and aligned that with 1,000 students in 8 camps, and we actually this year made statistically significant gains. And really, the program intervention is only to stem summer learning loss, and we actually saw almost 10% gains across the board for that group as on an average. So that was phenomenal. We also, through this campaign for grade level reading, over the past 5 years, have been able to distribute about 15,000 books to almost 3,000 students, which again have helped stem summer learning loss. And with the FCAT, we were able to trend the third grade reading scores, and from 2011 to 2014 was when we had that measuring stick. We actually were able to increase those reading scores by 10%. So not saying just Campaign for Grade Level Reading did this, but as a community whole and all the interventions we're doing as a group and focus, we can make a difference. So I would like to go into the next section, where is what you're kind of the think tank of what you might like to look at moving forward with policy directions. I broke it down by age group because we were looking at from birth to grade. So as part of the Campaign for Grade Level Reading, kindergarten readiness is one of the big buckets that we were asked to look for, and it's kind of a hard one to get your arms around because they really aren't registered at school. What does that mean to us? So through our studies, some of the stuff that we really felt we as a community need to work on is just to increase awareness for parents to understand child development milestones, increase communication and outreach about early childhood development. We find that there's not really a systematic program to support families. We have a lot of nonprofits that do some of that work, but it's not really scaled and aligned and consistent, so maybe there's some policy around that. We do know that we have around 500 students that are eligible for VPK, which is voluntary pre-kindergarten, but only about 280 take advantage of that, so that's really important to get that word out on the street. And then, of course, we'd like to see enhanced programming pieces with the Parks and Recreation Department for early childhood programs. K through 12 is a big area of focus, so we'd like to sustain the Campaign for Grade Level Reading because we have data that proves our results are making a difference. One of the big things that we always struggle here in Delray is how we keep Delray students at Delray Beach schools. With so much choice programs going around Palm Beach County, kids can go outside of our boundaries, and we know we lose a lot of great kids to programs that we can't offer here in our community. We still struggle with the improved image of branding and marketing of our schools. We'd like to advocate for that all schools have choice programs to entice students to want to come to Delray Beach. One big piece that we hear repeatedly from both the public and from the Education Board is that we don't really have a great comprehensive youth facility. We do have the 505 Teen Center, but it's not really offering the programming to provide the things that we've heard from our youth, which is like those wealth-building programs, mentoring, STEM offerings, life skills, cultural arts, career development, tutoring. We need a whole package, like a policy where it's I know, Yvonne, you have a passion for youth. We really need like $1 million line item budget in the city's plan to provide those youth services. And of course, that really helps by keeping students off the street later going to crime, because they're strong. And we also need to create our future workforce that would become, part of all of that education piece. We do know that we have a lot of nonprofit agencies that are providing youth services, so how can we support them? Again, increasing quality of academic offerings. Just because you have an out-of-school program, not all of the programs are at the same quality or level, so maybe there's some way we can help with providing those that educational equaling of those kind of programs. We do know we would like to expand those large school choices. We're still, need to advocate for that middle school of the arts. Hopefully that was in the sales tax from the school district, but that's not to be built till 2020, so that's a big item for us to make sure we don't let that drop off the list. We're also talking about getting some sort of medical choice program from elementary, middle to high moving forward. And I think another very important, you can hear it around the nation, but support for our alternative schools in Delray Beach. We do have some alternative schools that serve a specific population, and there needs to be choice for those kids, whether it be charter schools, private schools, vocational options. I think that's important to keep that going. Going to post-secondary, we talked about this at our education board, and we'd really like to have support the adult education facility to be located in Delray Beach. We have Delray Full Service Center, and there is talk at the district to demolish that building and then rebuild. There has been some talk about considering getting that adult education maybe even along the Atlantic corridor. It is slated as a tri-county or southeast regional facility. It would be nicely situated with the tri-rail and the trolley coming into town to get other folks to come and use the facility. We've always been in our master plan to create something like that. We also need to create stronger partnerships with our local universities and colleges. As you know, the library has a lifelong learning program, but it's not maybe as well promoted, or we need to probably look at ways to partner with them to support for all of us that are getting older to have some place to go when we retire. We need to develop mentoring programs with our business community. We'd like to increase the community engagement within the schools. There's not increasing programming for young professional and seniors, and hopefully maybe develop some sort of policy to create an intergenerational programming. So that's kind of in a nutshell. I think I gave you a lot of information in a short period of time, but if anybody has any questions on any of the initiatives, I'm more than happy to answer any of your questions.
Just as a comment, I really appreciate the wish list kind of approach here, because I don't think we got that in the previous presentations, and I think this gives us some good stuff to know what you are looking for the future.
Right.
And not related to that, what's the plans for the old Mimosa?
I think the 1 cent penny sale was to do a demolition of that building, and then they'll probably land bank it for a while.
Okay. But no other educational facility there, or you just don't know?
Not that I know of at this point.
Can I ask you a couple questions?
Sure.
What is the relationship of the city's Board of Education to the county, which really runs the school? Is that
Very strong.
Very strong.
Yes. And as an education coordinator, the district calls us, if something's happening, usually we're like the first to get called to let us know what's going on in the community, if there's going to be a switch in a principal. We go to a lot of school board meetings to advocate for, I'll give you an example. A while back, before Plumosa was rebuilt in its new site, they were planning on merging Galaxy and Plumosa together. So we wrote a white paper and we went up and advocated before Palm Beach County School District to save Plumosa. And as you can see, we got not only saved it, but we got the School of the Arts. So we have a very strong working relationship.
So it's essentially advisory and advocacy.
Mm-hmm. And the advisory board advises the city commission on policy direction as well when things come up.
The other question I had was, you mentioned briefly charter schools, and there are the three sort of major non-public schools in a sense that I'm aware of, Village Academy, Tucson Louverture, and Achievement Center.
Okay.
So can you explain
Yes.
a little bit?
Well, actually, Achievement Center is not a charter school. It's just an out-of-school program, and it's a nonprofit. Village Academy is a public school. It's deregulated, so they can spend their money a little bit differently. And currently, I'm only aware of two charter schools, which is Tucson and then Space and Mind. There may be one other one, and that might be low-hanging fruit, but those would be, as you know, Marjorie Waldo's Tomorrow's Promise closed a couple years ago.
I just wanted to add with your comment about your influence. I do know that Palm Beach County School District would love to duplicate what Delray is doing in other cities.
Yeah.
So, just to say the influence they have, they really would like to have other cities to duplicate what we're doing.
And I know the Achievement Center is huge, and their programs are growing, and both in terms of the services they render and the student body and families that they have.
Right.
And is that separate from the city?
It's separate from the city and the county. They're a standalone nonprofit agency that helps families and children.
But they do work with public schools.
Yeah, they have their programs within the public schools. At one point,
After school with
we
Village
actually, the
Academy.
city helps facilitate that. They enter into a tri-party agreement with us. In fact, they are only allowed in those schools now and get free rent based on our agreement with the Campaign for Grade Level Reading. Really elevated them to stand different than any other nonprofit out-of-school programming piece to be in the schools. So we've been able to help defray some of those costs for our nonprofits because of our strong partnership with Palm Beach County School District.
They run some of the summer programs, right? In
Correct.
the public schools, like
Orchard View,
at
Pine Grove, and Village. Yep.
I was wondering if you have any, prospects of looking into technology and advancing, the innovation of the education system, if there's any budget allocated to that, and what exactly are you looking, potentially to bring in? There's a lot of resources that are currently using, online and digital platforms to continue both for post-secondary education and, regular school education. Is there any thought in that?
We think about it all the time, but there's no budget, so we would welcome you to help us get that off the ground. And that would be a great policy to put in here, how we can engage those nonprofits or whoever's providing those services. That's the reason why I would love to have some sort of either youth facility or adult facility that would be, really available to the public at large to be able to use to, access this type of services.
Any plans to bring back Citizens Academy?
Yes, I'm hoping to in the fall, in
Okay.
October. Yeah, maybe a little bit of shortened version instead of 6 weeks, maybe 4.
Yeah, I was on the initial one like 15 years ago. It was fantastic, and it really gives you a good insight on the city.
I get asked that a lot. I think it would be great after we get through the next election, you get everybody settled, and then in the fall would be a great time. So I'm going to try and do that.
Are you guys all aware what that is? It's a monthly class that teaches citizens how local government runs and functions, so it kind of steps through all the different areas. The goal being, and a lot of communities do this and very successfully, is that you train people up to then become better citizens, volunteers on your boards, and ultimately if it works, they work their way up and become elected officials in the system. So it's training people how to be involved in local government. it is a great program and it's something we've been talking about trying to get going again, so.
I have a question. You want to go
Yep.
back there first?
Doesn't matter, go ahead.
Are you familiar with the transformation plan
Warp, yes.
at Ward Trans?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of these, I see you got increased community engagement in school. A lot of these components really reflects what's in that plan.
Yep.
So I think it's great.
Yes, we want to be a great supporter of what your plans are, for sure. And also, I think you'll see there's going to be some overlap with economic development, with the wealth building, and there needs to be some overlap in the parks and recreation element as well for like that youth programming piece. So we definitely have to merge all that coming together moving forward, so we have that same vision.
Yeah, I think we got an excellent foundation. If we can get some
Yep.
strong policy at a comprehensive level.
Absolutely.
Put them together, that would.
So when people come in and want to do things, we can say, oh, but you have this policy in place, we can do it.
Right.
What's the current situation with like the vocational schools, the technical schools, and you know, any bit of like adult retraining and stuff like that? And that could even dovetail into what she was talking about, the digital platforms that are currently available to retrain adults.
I don't know, Joan, are you going to be talking about that at all? We have nothing in our plan, but I certainly would love that to be part of that wealth building, not even at youth, but that post-secondary.
Skills development,
Yeah.
workforce development, absolutely, that's a great opportunity for
Yeah.
us as we look at the update to the comp plan.
What's the current state of the public schools as far as like, what are they receiving grade-wise? Are they A schools, or are they B schools, are they?
It was really a mix. A lot of our schools dropped a grade because of the new Florida standard assessments.
Right.
And last year was the first year, this is the second year, so we really, it's hard to, you know, they keep moving our measuring stick further and further away. That's the reason why.
Like Atlantic High School?
B, I think it went from an A to a B. Carver went to a C to a D.
D school?
And Banyan went from an A to a B. Morecambe's an A. Beatty, I can't remember if it went from an A to a B, yeah. So we dropped, but I think it just is because of that, again, they changed the whole testing
Right.
scores.
What about Formosa?
I think it's an A or a B. We didn't have very many A's this year. They all kind of dropped.
Is
A
there
C?
something
A B.
going on with Carver to improve that score? Because I know that area too, like, I ride my bike through that neighborhood all the time, and it's a really rough area. Is there money going to that school specifically because of the suffering?
They are getting some additional interventions because they have a D. But that is one school that I would really like to focus on somehow, some way, because there is a huge disconnect with, doesn't matter who you are, if it's kind of like you have that middle income and you can get your kids somewhere else. We've really lost a huge population. We're down to about 800 students, and the capacity of that school is about 1,250. And there's a lot going on, great things going on there. So again, maybe part of the marketing and branding, and they just got like a $3 million technology grant that we can maybe help to promote. Again, maybe layering in some of those vocationals, maybe giving some students something other than just straight IB. There could be like a school within a school. There are a lot of different interventions we may be able to work
So
with.
where is that population now? Is that overpopulated at this point? Or is
No, it's way under.
It's way under.
In fact, 2 years ago, the district was looking at combining Carver with Odyssey and another Western middle school, because obviously the school district has to be in the business of making money, and they're really losing money. So we, again, kind of defrayed that as a community, saying, no, we can't lose Carver, it's our only middle school here, so we need you to step in and help us, but...
Do they have a magnet school currently?
IB, they have the middle school IB.
What efforts are going on to attract a institution of higher learning into Delray, either a branch from Lynn, or Palm Beach State, or FAU?
I'm going to defray that to Joan again. We've had a lot of conversations over time.
Working really hard on it.
Yeah, I would hope that we would get that. I would love to be able to merge somehow with that adult education piece moving forward, how we could get some of those strong partnerships involved. It's really important. They're so close. But we
It's really important to the economy of the city.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Just a quick update, Mike. So we got to correct, we learned when we tried to bring Lynn into downtown, that we've got a slight correction we've got to make to our land development regulations. Palm Beach State College is actually coming into town through the Small Business Development Center. We just placed on the second floor of the library, and we're we're in discussion, some folks are in discussions now with leadership at Palm Beach State College to see if we can get some courses. But again, there's some technical things we've got to shake out, but yeah, June, absolutely. As you know, the conversation we've also had around Converse Avenue, the importance of the higher ed presence here in town would go a long way, I think, with maybe where we want to go.
I'm pretty sure higher education has been in somewhere in all of our visionings from way back when, carrying forward. We just haven't been able to get to the goalpost yet with that initiative.
Could schools be used at night to support, do they offer night classes for?
Some,
like
if they're
the
a
high
community school,
or
they do, yes. They do
even
have.
Carver, bringing traffic through that area at that time of night, that could
I
possibly.
do believe they are a
improve the
community school. Are they community school? I think they are. Atlantic has a big adult piece at nighttime, but
They moved it from Carver to Atlanta.
because it was Carver Community
It was
Middle
Carver
School.
Community Middle School.
Because I was wondering why everybody dropped community now, so, okay, so they moved that over, okay.
Yeah,
And
Adult
that's,
education,
that could be a
spring
huge
and-
asset,
Okay.
if you're not utilizing that at night,
And I do feel there's one thing here is we kind of have a one-track mind here with like college bound, but we don't have strong vocational schools for those
Right.
students that want a different track. You have South Tech, but it's kind of decreased in size and there's not a lot of offerings. So I would definitely like to see something along those lines where people could get that.
I think the whole country,
right?
the whole country is focused on higher education.
Absolutely.
Even,
Not for everyone.
even a GED program, I know a lot of kids that are in their 20s that never got their high school
Well,
diploma.
Delray Full Service Center does provide some GEDs and services. So we do have a little of that.
A little bit of it.
Yeah, and I believe that Palm Beach County School District also, at Village Academy, they have a GED program. So it's not real strong and it's not really, again, marketing is a huge piece and branding, so people know what we have in our community is always been kind of a struggle.
Do you have a marketing department?
No.
No.
The Ed Board. Well, yes, well, okay. Sort of. Our new division, me, I guess. Being the PIO.
I was trying to do that too. She just got promoted to that role.
I just wanted to ask about the Palm School.
I'm sorry.
That's the school that's on Seacrest and 19?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
And that's slated to be demolished. Do you have any timeline on that?
Well, that tax that they just got approved, it is a line item in there, but I don't know the deadline on
Will
that.
the residents in the neighborhood be, will there be any notice to the residents in the area when they're?
I doubt it, because schools are an island of their own. They only answer to the state, not the city. They don't have to come through our planning process. They usually do because, as a courtesy, but they're not really required to. But I'm sure something out of the planning
I
department
can't
will do
imagine we won't
that.
get something, so we'll do the.
Or again, press releases
Yeah.
to let you know.
Sorry.
I just wanted to add back, going back to the university, Lynn University does have a presence on Atlantic Avenue as of about a month ago. There's a co-working space called The Kitchen, it's inside Cool Creative Space. So we just agreed to having a sponsorship with Lynn University for the entire end of this year beginning and through 2017. And the idea is they have a grant that they're going to be giving away as part of a competition that they're doing for their startup, whatever thing that they do with X startup, the runway. And the idea is starting in March, I think, they'll have their students that will win the competition using one of the desks at the kitchen space.
Oh.
And they're going to be doing workshops there monthly. They have made a commitment to support and be there. So that's right on Atlantic Avenue. This is not public knowledge because it's just not, people don't know there's a co-working space in town on the avenue. So that's just something that, I don't know if you spoke to Joe Russo, he's the one who negotiated that deal.
Yes, I agree with the comments made earlier by this gentleman, Steve, about vocational education. I can honestly say I'm not familiar if you have any programs that are in effect right now at the high school level, but there's really a need for vocational programs because college isn't for everyone, and there's a lot of kids that have to develop a skill level at that age that can move on into industry, into different trades with proper training so that they can perform their jobs effectively and they can be, decent or urgent
Sounds like a policy. We definitely
Excuse
need
me?
to. It sounds like a policy we definitely need to
Yeah,
report as part of the element.
I've seen in other communities where they have kind of an interactive program with industries where they have a cooperative program where the kids go to school, and after school they go and work for a few hours in a certain trade, and it gets them off the street, it gets them involved in things, they learn something, it motivates them, it's just a certain thing.
But, I mean, that's also part of like creating those strong business partnerships with like the Chamber of Commerce to provide those opportunities to internship and business mentorships to the younger folks.
There's a tremendous residual benefit to the community and to the kids, most important.
Sorry,
That's okay.
okay, so I'd like to address what she was saying about Carver, and I'm going to do it from a parent perspective if I could. So I have 2 kids at Carver in the IB program, and I'm pretty active, like you'll see me there, right, involved and stuff like that. But what I see at Carver specifically, and I think that it's encouraging, please look at my comments as encouraging, because the possibility, of course, the sky is the limit. We reach for all that they can be. But the students in the IB program face a challenge. And I think as adults, I think sometimes like you were saying, like we want to hear our children's challenges, yes, what they say about it. So I think that school spirit sometimes encourages students, competitions and stuff like this, encourages them to excel, right? So if the school looks dead or feels dead, or the community is not really seeing the school spirit, then it's probably an indication of how the kids feel about their school, what they're working on. So you could put IB on labeled, but if there's no innovation or spirit coming from it, right, then we have to light the fire under Carver. So a lot of that can come from community support. It can come from connectivity. So then when you do complete this IB process, bring it back to the community, right? Having an open door. So, and lastly, I like what you said about mentoring, because you're giving them the opportunity for IB performances, but then not really mentoring them to be successful. Hopefully I explained that really well, but the teachers are actually maybe possibly weeding out the students. The IB program is separated from the major population, from the majority of the population, and that kind of hurts your school spirit, because really actually if you go to FAU or something, it's like everybody's excited. Do you know what I mean? So if you have a school within a school or IB program within a school,